Well, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And Dr. Lopkin, not as active of a week as last week or previous weeks, but still there's always something, isn't there? And in that area, we had something that just happened kind of yesterday, last couple of days, and that was the college admission scandal. Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yeah, this is actually the largest college admissions scandal that's ever been investigated with actresses, executives. Essentially, what happened was they actually formed a nonprofit organization to funnel money to certain coaches at colleges and certain representatives. The coaches would then recruit these students as student athletes, even though they had no athletic talent or intention of playing.
Yeah.
Then there was also payments to people to either take college admission tests for the student or change their answers afterwards to boost their chances of getting in.
And the colleges, to some degree, as far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, seemed to be that they would be somewhat aware of this.
That's unknown right now.
Unknown, but that could be the other shoe to drop.
It could be. We really have to
Seems
see
a little
where it goes.
shaky to me.
But this was colleges all over the country, literally from USC to Yale.
Yes. And the interesting thing that I believe one of the actresses involved, I think they actually raided her house and took her away at gunpoint.
That I didn't hear. I know two actresses were charged. Felicity Huffman, who's best known for Sports Night and Desperate Housewives, and Lori Lofton, who's best known for Full House. They were both charged in this. And the money ranged from $15,000 to $1.5 million. And all I have to say is, yeah, you're paying $1.5 million to get your kid into college. How stupid is your kid that it takes that much money to get into a college?
And actually, your Full House actress, she just surrendered to the feds.
Okay.
So I don't know if how it was done, but she was the one accused of paying $500,000 in bribes to get into University of Southern California. So obviously her kid's not the brightest bulb in the Christmas tree, given all the privilege I'm sure she was entitled to.
Right.
Hello, genius. If you can't get into USC, if you're an underprivileged inner city kid, I give you that, absolutely. But with all the tutors, God knows what this moron had, and she still couldn't get in. So the parents had to pony up $500,000. Surprise, surprise. That is an example of white privilege, my friend.
It's an example of white privilege. It's also an example of how far the higher education system has fallen.
Oh, God. It's pay for play, my friend.
That's exactly what it is.
I don't know about Yale or Harvard. I know you have legacy programs there that, is highly questionable. You get your, let's say, even above average private school, or even probably at this point, public school, and you got money, you're in. Am I right?
That's pretty much it. Although I think for a lot of these, it's even more the connections than it is the money. It's certain schools just funnel students in. You mentioned legacy programs. I mean, it really does question the credibility of anybody graduating from these institutions.
Speaking of that, AOC, talking about questioning credibility. Come on, economics. I know we talked about it before. I don't want to bore our listeners out there, but she knows about as much about economics. Actually, I might know more about it. I was going to say she knows about as much about economics as I know about astrophysics. I actually might know more about astrophysics. Seriously, I'm not kidding with you either.
Well,
in other words, she knows basically nothing.
She was questioning the CEO of Wells Fargo yesterday. The video is available on YouTube. And it's very clear that she has absolutely no idea how banking works. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she's questioning the CEO of Wells Fargo about the actions of people who have borrowed money from Wells Fargo.
I have to say, there has to be no pun intended, a degree of embarrassment at her alma mater there.
Oh,
if she had a degree in poetry, okay, fine, I got it. She has a degree in economics.
Yeah,
How does that happen?
Boston University's accreditation needs to be investigated.
I think it's BU, actually. Is that what you said, Boston University?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I stand correct. Yeah, BU. At least their economics department needs to be, the chairperson needs to be looked at. Oh, my God. So AOC and the other band of young Turks, the Three Musketeers, I call them, certainly challenging. Nancy Pelosi's pretty much very interesting, pretty much a figurehead at this point. I think she's scared to death of what's going on, and she's actually now positioned as a moderate. I mean, who would ever think that?
Yes, Nancy Pelosi has actually moved to the center. She's completely lost control of the party.
Hold on, she has not.
Well, relatively speaking.
Yeah, the party's moved to the left.
Yeah. But she has completely lost control of the party. She came out this week stating that impeachment is not on the table. This is not going to happen. And actually was very open about the fact that even if they found something, they do not have the votes to impeach him.
That doesn't stop the band of three and others.
Doesn't stop them. And even Chuck Schumer was saying, no, we want to leave all options open. I don't know what option he's leaving open because he has no say in impeachment over in the Senate. But
yes. Is it now really kind of apparent that the radical Dems are so basically extreme at this point that essentially they will overthrow a duly elected representative, like them or not? I mean, that's kind of dangerous.
That's what they're trying to do. And, there was a lot made when the Tea Party emerged of how the extreme right was taking over the Republican Party. And that had nothing compared to this.
This is that was like a joke. That was a tempest in a teapot. Totally crazy. Very interesting, though. I think there'll be a big fight on their hands. I think Pelosi will become. Here's what I think. She might not even run next. I think she's going to get so disenchanted she might just walk away. I mean, she's surrounded by crazies. These people are nuts.
It's possible that she'll walk away. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually hope she doesn't, because there's no chance of a Republican winning her seat, which means if she doesn't run, the odds are in favor of another wacko taking her place.
Well, you have a very good point, Dr. Lopkin. Really, there's a huge suction, a huge void, not even void, a huge suction, that big sucking sound, but it's not about NAFTA. It's about crazies. That's basically the litmus test for Democrats now. I mean, if you're basically center, there's no chance. I mean, you have to be radical to get any suction, any traction.
It really looks that way. And I'm hoping. Now, I've never been a big fan of Joe Biden. But if he does enter the presidential race and does well, and already just by mentioning his name, he's actually the front runner in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Yes.
Hopefully, he can move the party back towards slightly left.
And now with the cast of characters they have now, I'm sorry, Dr. Locke, there's not one non-crazy person in the whole bunch besides him. Kamala Harris.
Well, not in the candidates. There isn't. I think there's a couple of things. The only way to save the Democratic Party, first of all, Joe Biden has to run. Second of all, Howard Schultz has to run as an independent because he will pull the more moderate Democrats. With those
What do you think his
two,
chances of doing that are?
I think at this point they're pretty good. I mean, he's seriously looking into it. But with that, the fact of the matter is Trump will win a second term because those two will split the Democratic vote. But it gives the moderate Democrats the platform to say, we lost this because of you wackos.
That's going to happen more and more anyway. I mean, AOC, her rising star, she's burning bright, but like anything that burns bright, it doesn't burn for too long. It's not wishful thinking. I mean, I wish she hangs around for years and years and years. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're getting really upset. Now, speaking about the new radical Dems, very interesting. Tucker Carlson. I mean, it's really, maybe it's for another edition of Carnivore Bites, but essentially with the radical Dems and the radical left in general, basically they're shutting down speech in colleges. They're forming opinions in the secondary schools. And basically it was so troubling and interesting that, Media Matters just happened to come across some audio of Tucker Carlson on Bubba the Love Sponge. Just happened, 10 years. Don't you just do that all the time, Dr. Locke? You just hanging around, you got nothing else to do, you just twiddling your thumbs up there, and you just happen to say, gee, I wonder what the Buzz said, said 10 years ago. Really?
Yeah, it's become an ongoing witch hunt. And there is talk that Trump has put together an executive order requiring colleges and universities to protect freedom of speech if they want federal funds.
Okay, but you don't think this is getting scary now? I mean,
it's not getting. It's been scary. It's going downhill, but it's already scary.
I think it started in 1990s. You could really see it, but it was just a distraction. It's no distraction now. I mean, basically, if you are in education, if you are in anything that's, basically visible to the public, you better shut up and toe the line. That's scary.
Yeah, the left is the new fascism.
Okay.
They are cracking
You've said that on Carnivore Radio several times.
Yes.
The new fascism.
They are cracking down on speech. And it is amazing. There were a couple of things I mentioned, Trump's executive order that they're looking at. And I really do hope they go forward with that. But there was also an interesting interview with Julian Assange. And they asked the WikiLeaks founder why he hasn't released any documents about Trump. And he said point blank, because we haven't found anything. There isn't anything. The media, though, and certainly the left, higher education, which has basically become a boot camp for liberalism, have manufactured stories, and they're shutting down free speech and real investigation because it doesn't suit their needs.
It is very troubling, and it's very troubling for democracy. But what's not troubling is Carnivore Bites and how we're on top of things, isn't it, Dr. Lopkin?
Absolutely.
We'll do it next week. Take care.
See you then.
You've been listening to Carnivore Radio's podcast. You can catch us here every week. Carnivore Radio is part of the Xvadio podcast network. You can listen to the podcast at blogtalkradio.com/Xvadio. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can listen to us live every Friday at 4 o'clock on WESU 88.1 Middletown, Connecticut. You can also catch us online at WESUFM.org. We look forward to hearing from you and see you next week.